3 little marks on the back of a car can mean so much to so many. In this case, it means that Porsche has updated its track special, made more of an already savage machine. The GT3 is back, and it's more GT3 than ever.
Porsche's GT cars are for the hardcore driver, the people who want to get in their cars and have lots of fun all the live long day. And they all hark back to the 2.7 litre RSs from the 1970s. You see, way back when, Porsche wanted to make a new race car and, you know, kick all kinds of ass. But in order to do so, it had to build a certain number of road cars for normal human beings to buy. The resulting car was the now legendary 2.7 litre RS. It was lighter, it was harder, it was faster, it was just better than anything that had come before it. If you're into your 911s, really, that is the one to go for. Only problem is, there are very few of them, and they very rarely come up for sale, and when they do, well, they cost squillions.
I digress. The 2.7 RS is a special, important car. It's also the blueprint for all of the GT Porsches. It was lighter, had more power, fewer creature comforts. It was basically a GT3 before GT3s were a thing.
Now, the 991.1 911 GT3 was a truly brilliant car. It was absolutely awesome. But there are two things about it that stuck in my craw. The first was that many people said, oh yeah, you can live with it every single day. You couldn't. The nose was so low, any speed bump or slight incline led to grinding noises and lots of wincing and lots of discomfort and hoping that no one else heard or saw what you'd just done.
Then there was the other thing, the thing that everyone loves to mention, the gearbox. It was PDK only, and that irked a fair few people because they wanted to change gears on their own and have lots of fun pretending to be a racing driver from the old days.
And that's perfectly fine. It's an admirable thing to want to do, to be a race car driver and feel like a king, but in reality, the PDK, well, it makes more sense for better lap times. It's more efficient, it's faster, it's just better than a human doing that particular job. However, because so many people complained and moaned, Porsche listened, and now this generation GT3, you can have a 6-speed manual, which is really fantastic news because some people, myself included most of the time, well, they want that extra engagement, so good on your Porsche. But this one is a PDK, in case you hadn't noticed, and I don't mind that because here the magic lies in the numbers.
Nestling somewhere behind my arse is a naturally aspirated 4-litre flat 6 with 500 delicious horsepowers and 339 pound-foot. Now, with a stick shift it'll hit 62 in just 3.9 seconds and top out at about 198 miles an hour. If you let the car do the work for you, however, 0 to 62 happens in 3.4 seconds and you'll manage 197 miles an hour. So quicker, but also slower.
Now, the PDK is marginally heavier than the stick shift. The weight difference is negligible. However, to keep the kilos off, Porsche's put this thing on a diet. So the roof is magnesium, the wing and bonnet boot cover thing at the back, that's carbon, and of course there are no rear seats and other little bits here and there. Normally, diets are really boring, but in this, it adds up to sub 1500 kilos of fun.
So it's a bit light and promises to be a bit exciting. The new car offers more downforce than the old one as well. That's thanks in part to lessons learned from the 911R, its new front and rear, and moving its carbon rear wing just a touch. There's 20% more of the stuff than you used to get.
What about the engine then? Well, it revs to near as damn it 9,000 RPM, which is insane and awesome. Porsche says it's actually rather closely related to the engine found in its 911 Cup cars. It's also got rear steer, so at low speeds, the rear wheels will turn in the opposite direction to the front, ever so slightly, so that you can maneuver better, but at high speeds, they turn in the same direction, so you get a better line. Essentially, this thing is pretty much a freaking race car, except it isn't, because it's got number plates and seat belts and sat-nav.
I wouldn't go the whole hog and say this is a car you could daily. 1, because no one really needs to daily 500 horses, and 2, because this is a toy you should enjoy regularly on a track. In fact, the majority of Porsche's GT customers take their rides on a track to do, well, track things.
track stuff like this. There's something very special about having a GT3 and an empty racetrack just for you, especially when you can start pressing buttons that give you a little bit of slip and more noise. So let's talk about the basics. The PDK, the gearbox that people were unsure of in the last one but actually had to be reminded that it's really rather good. Guess what? It's still really rather good. It's so fast and so slick, and it just is bang on. It knows what you want. It reads your mind. Gearbox good. Steering also so good. You can feel every little bit of the road through this. It's so communicative. There's no dead spot. There's no delay to it. It's got that Porsche feedback, and my God, I love that Porsche feedback. It makes me feel happy inside. What about the brakes? Well, they're carbon all round. A good thing, not only because they reduce the weight, but also because they don't fade after a day of abuse on the circuit. Now, the pedal travel isn't very long at all. They can be quite sharp. They take a while to get used to, as a lot of these things do, but there isn't much motion to it, so you get not much and then lots of stopping. Oh my, they work. They work so well. This thing's party piece though. That's the engine. This 4-litre engine just sings. I'm going to turn the noise button on. I'm going to drop it down a second. I'm going to go uphill from 5,000 RPM. Noise! Oh my God, it sounds so good. It's the proper 911 howl. It's back. I've missed that noise so much. It's just stunning. You don't get that with the turbo cars, and thank whichever deity you pray to that Porsche decided to avoid turbos in this, because it wouldn't sound half as good. Yeah, it might be a bit quicker, but this thing is fast with a capital F, and that is displayed in the handling. The speed at which you can go round corners, the speed it can carry, it's unbelievable. So much grip, and I'm not even exploiting half of what this thing can do. Not even half. The suspension setup on it is simply stunning. The aero and the downforce, you put it into a corner, you give it a little squirt mid-bend, you feel it dig in at the back like all 911s do, and then away you go. This is a punishing car to drive badly. There's not much room for error. But when you get everything right, it flows beautifully. I know if I had this on the road, I would hate it. But there's a reason Porsche's GT customers stick them on a track so often. Because here is where it belongs. Here is where it can sing. And here is where I want to live for the rest of my life. It's savage! This is a savage, fierce beast of a car. Be under no illusions, if you're an idiot and buy one of these, turn everything off and expect to become some kind of racing driver, you are probably going to do yourself a disservice. But learn it, learn this thing, and you will have the time of your life.
Judging by the excited, shiny-headed man, I think he rather enjoyed it. In fact, I know he did. But this is a brand spanking new GT3. It has to be better than all of those that came before it. So the question is it as good as we thought it would be?
So then, this car, the car with the 3 little marks, GT3, is it worthy of its predecessors, or has Porsche missed the mark? Well, having spent a whole day spanking it around a racetrack and giggling like a lunatic, oh, it's just brilliant. Everything about it is well thought out, but it does belong here. It would be a little unruly for the day-to-day, maybe for a B-road blast. The 911 GT3 in a racetrack, well, those two belong together.